Well, as he said, my name is Chris Webb. I have no church background. I guess I should say I didn't have any church background. We're moving this story now all the way back to 2008. I would say it was around maybe July 2008. No church background, no nothing. I do remember visiting a church one time where people were rolling on the floor and saying all of these things, and I was thinking, what in the world does this have to do with God? Okay? So through those experiences, that kind of just, let me step back away from it from a bit. I didn't want to have anything to do with the church. I didn't want too much of anything to do with God, because I knew if I did, I'd have to change my life in a way. So I really was trying to live my own life. I wanted to save the world. I've been wanting to save the world since I was 6 years old, and I've been trying different ways to do that. For instance, acting. I thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to be an actor, but I'm only going to act in good movies, sort of like a Jackie Chan, but like without all the fighting, So I was like, I'm going to just be like a Jackie Chan, right? Just act in good movies and, have a good influence that way, right? I wanted to be a police officer then. I was like, man, they protect, they serve, they get to, tackle people, get them down and everything like that, serve some justice, man, So I was like, that's what I want to do. I was like, and so what I did is I went to every police officer that I saw in Denver, Colorado, and I said, when I grow up one day, I want to be just like you. And I meant it. I was like, man, I want to serve justice, right? I want to take care of people. I want to take care of my community. Well, that idea, of course, didn't last too long either. I tried music for a bit, but we're not going to get into that. I did also try to start a group called the LOD. Okay, and it was while I was in middle school, this group started, and basically it started with me and three of my other best friends at the time, and we were just going to go around, help old ladies across the street, pick up trash, talk to people about the golden rule, just that kind of stuff. Mind you, I was in middle school, so LOD stood for Lords of Destruction, only because it sounded cool. That was the only reason, I promise you. But, all of these ideas I had and about trying to save the world, trying to help people, trying to get them from themselves and, have a better life, see the alternatives that are out there, didn't have to live in the motions, through the motions. Where I grew up, there was only two things that I thought that I could do, and that was either become a gang member or be a rapper. And that's pretty much it, and had no idea that I could go to college. Had no idea about marriage. In fact, where I grew up, there's nobody married at all. In fact, none of those standards were taught to me or to my other siblings, so we were definitely off. But even still, with all of that, I'm still just trying to find a way to help people to change their life, to change the way the world is going. And so this was around, I guess, August now. My mother was in and out of the hospital. She was sick all the time. My older brother, he would be out hanging out with his friends. And then my younger sister would be at the library reading books, looking at comics, all of these different things. And so I would spend a lot of time at home just thinking about the world, thinking about this new idea that I was going to do to try to help it, to try to save it, And I started to think about space. I started to think about good and evil and why there's this distinction and why so many people pay attention to that. I started to think about guilt. Why do we feel guilty? Why is that important? And I would say this was a span of a few weeks. And at the end of those few weeks, I came to a conclusion that, there is a God. There is a God. Plain and simple. I came to that conclusion by all of those things that I was thinking about, but I just knew that somebody's watching over us, that somebody's taking all of these things down, that somebody is going to judge us for all of these things that are happening. That there is some power at work here for good, no doubt. So I wanted to work with that power. And so I said, there is a God. And it was that night that I prayed to God, really for the first time, and I said, I need your help. I need your help to get me to a position to where I can start making the change in this world that needs to happen, that needed to happen. And I tell you, right after that, immediately, things started happening in my life that brought me all the way here. One of those things was our talk to start moving to Tampa, Florida, which we ended up doing, what was that, December 6, 2009. And we moved there, December 6, 2008 actually is when we moved there. We moved there primarily for my mother's health. And my grandmother was living there, and she was attending this church called North Boulevard Church of Christ. And so my grandmother was like, okay, so we're going to move down here so I can better take care of her. You kids can finish going to school, and everybody's going to be happy. But that wasn't it. She said, listen, I'm going to North Boulevard Church of Christ. I'm going to church, and you're going to go too. If you're going to be living under my roof, you're going to church. That's it, plain and simple. And I'm like, grandma, no problem, But even still, it was a perfect time. Because I had just got done admitting and realizing that there is a God, that somebody is watching over all of us and guiding our lives. And so at that perfect time, I was sitting in sitting in a pew just like you are right now. And the preacher at North Boulevard during those few years was Ken Welliver. And I mean, he was up there preaching everything that I needed to hear, every last single thing. And I'm like, okay, I think something's going on here. Maybe I should respond in a certain way, right? And then later on, they had me start visiting with this man named Jacob Jordan. And so we'd go around, play basketball for a bit, and then we'd sit down and talk about the gospel, talk about the Bible, talk about what God wanted me to do. And he was just going through his regular spiel about death, and you don't know when you're going to die, and this, and that. But I was sort of like drowning that out a bit and just thinking to myself about what God wanted me to do. And this was the conclusion, you see. I've been out here trying to save the world in my own way and trying to do all of these things in my own way, by my own wisdom, my own knowledge, my own experiences. But in the end, I knew it wasn't up to me. I knew that changing this world was not up to me, it was up to God. That was it. And so I looked at him, I said, I need to be baptized. I need to start working with the power that's already here, that's already working. I need to start working with something that is eternal. Yes, I wanted people to change their lives, and yes, I wanted to change the world, but it wasn't going to happen through me. And it wasn't going to last through me, guaranteed. But it will through God. So I was baptized that day, April 23rd, 2009. It was on a Thursday, the day after Earth Day. It was around 6 p.m., something like that. But I know that time specifically because that was important. But I tell you something. Sometimes I step back and I think, how in the world did I get here? How in the world did I get here? Why am I here? Well, let me answer that. One of the reasons why I'm here is because of impartiality. That's it. When we started visiting North Boulevard Church of Christ, and I told you that example of me going to this church where people are rolling on the floor and doing all of these things. When we started visiting that church, and they recognized the situation we were in, okay, coming in, moving from a different state. My mother is really sick. She's in and out of the hospital. We have my baby brother at that time. I think he was like just a few months old, okay? And so they see that situation, and what do? They just pour in all of this love and this care and this compassion. And they did that not because, you know what, these people just look a certain way, and we want to, show ourselves to be impartial in a way, so we're just going to do it because, they're different from us. Or we're just going to do it just because. Oh, they did it because of who God is. That was the simple reason. They did it because of who God is. God takes care of all people, does he not? And so they use that chance, that opportunity to take care of all people. I wasn't a Christian at that time, and still they were doing all of these things for me. Why am I here? Because people were impartial. I'm here because sometimes I was that guy, no doubt, that looked scary, right? That looked pretty bad. I used to have this fro, had earrings in, didn't dress right, anything like that. But they didn't see that. They didn't recognize that. They didn't care anything about that. Instead, they took that initiative and they said, this person needs God. And it was a perfect timing. They didn't even know what was going on in my mind, my heart, that I was seeking for God, that I was seeking for the truth. They didn't know anything like that. But God used that in a way, a perfect opportunity to put us both together to make sure that I was going to be saved. And so that's for you to think about. You don't know who in your life that you see every day, walk by, doesn't even matter. But they might be looking for the truth, seeking it. But you're not going to know unless you act like God and be impartial. And you speak to someone not because you want to fill in your personal quota or something like that, or you want to be known as sociable, but you speak to them because God wants them. Plain and simple. Second thing, the reason why I'm here is because of the love of God. God wanted to save me. That's why I'm here. God wanted to save you. That's why you're here. God wants to save the world. That's why he sent out his disciples. That's why he gave up his son. I'm here because of the love of God. You're here because of the love of God. Why are you here? Taking that question from me. Why are you here? Was there somebody in your life that helped you to be here? Your parents, possibly. A friend, maybe. We sat here this morning. We heard all of those examples up there, didn't we? Great examples about people taking the initiative, showing the love of God, being impartial, going to people because that's what God wants them to do. And that's all you have to do. Take the initiative. Show the love of God. And remember why you're here. Are you here just so you can be saved? Or someone else as well? Both. That's the answer. Get yourself saved. Get someone else saved. I tell you, my story didn't end there. After I was baptized, of course, you're just filled with all of this zeal and this man, I want to do all things for people, right? And so I started talking to my mother about it. She was never baptized either. I said, Mom, Christ is, look at all these things that he's done for us, the people that were around, the people that were with. And so after a while, one of the members there at North Boulevard started talking to her. And she was sick all the time, I tell you, in and out of the hospital. And she said, you know what, the next time I get out of here, I'm going to be baptized. And I mean, the moment after she said that, she got so well, we thought everything that she had, every illness was gone, it seemed. She got so well, she got out. The first thing she did was baptize. She got baptized. But just immediately after that, it seems as well, she went down. All the way down. She passed away November 9th, 2009. You don't know when that time is going to come, you see. It may be today, it may be tomorrow for somebody else. You don't know. But you don't know whether or not they're looking for the truth. And you don't know whether or not if you can be a help unless you take the initiative. You show people the love of God. You not only be the example that God wants you to be, but you go so far as to talk to that person. And you try to do whatever you can to make sure that person can be saved. Yes, indeed, we go out here into all the world. That's hard, that's tough. And you don't need to talk to everybody, but you do what you can. I'm here because people did what they can for me. You're here for the same reason. And that's all we have to do. Can we take in the love of God? Can we help people? Because that's what God wants us to do. That's how I got here. Who knows how many more people you can save? Just got to be willing to take that first step. Thank you.